Whoa, we're back for some Bleach Soul Resonance, and I want to do a little roundup of the true Shikai Ichigo patch, which has had its ups in the case of what I would say is true Shikai Ichigo's overall power, and its downs in the case of true Shikai Ichigo's overall sort of dysfunction, his bugs, his oddities, his inability to sort of match with his team despite being a very hyped character, to the point where he is at now, where even on auto, we're racking up billions of damage in co-op. I'm sure some people have been over the billion mark in co-op for a while, but let me just, for example here, I got 1.1 billion solo damage. Is that? Like, that is not a number I was reaching before. And when I actually, go over here, when I go into character, this is not a duped Mayuri. He does have his core stamp, pretty duped out, but no weapon. This is a boundary to, Nalel, but this is a boundary 0, stamp 0, or stamp 1, I guess, and weapon stamp 1 /0, whatever you want to call it, dupe wise. This is not an Ichigo who has dupes in him. So we've seen an escalation, certainly, of what the character is able to do and how he's able to perform. To that extent, then, while I would say that he is a successful release now, he certainly did have his hurdles. We just recently got compensation on Global, the 30 actual Nexus tickets we can earn. What are they called? Nexus stars, I guess. Which we have here, 90. I'm pretty sure we got these. I did get something in my inbox, so I'm pretty sure this was the Nexus. I also have 30,000 Jade, which I'm pretty sure came from getting the Jade in that regard. I believe that the rewards are Crunchyroll side. Oh, sorry, I had to wipe out my eyes a little fuzzy, but I believe the rewards that are the reward to compensation that's handed out is Crunchyroll side. I don't think that the devs have any hold over that. That's not an excuse. I think they literally do not control what gets handed out at what time on this version, because they're not in charge of both versions. One of them is being published by Crunchyroll, the other one is being published by Nuverse, so that can lead to delays, I imagine. Maybe it is a part, maybe it's just a natural delay, maybe it's a part of the storms that have been going on in Japan. I don't know. I don't know why it took a while, but I believe we got the rewards, if I'm not mistaken, just because I do have quite a bit of Jade and stars, and I remember using them recently. Other than that, the patch has been a little slow, just because we haven't had new, super new things to do. How do I feel? The rewards, I would say flatly, have been great. A lot of tickets, a lot of Jade. I don't think there's any problem with that. I don't think anyone really contests that. I guess you could say we could always have more. I would personally say we've gotten more than enough to be reasonable. It is a collaboration event, but it's not a anniversary event. So I think they're just over the level of usual rewards, and solid, especially if it continues for the entire TYBW celebration. I don't know what else they would really need to do. I think that'd be solid. Chapter of Tempering, this and the actual fight with White Ichigo, pretty fun. I like the concept, pretty reasonable for free-to-plays to do. My scores are with a complete free-to-play team, mind you. I did not go into this trying to score with a non-free-to-play team. It doesn't really matter too much to me if I get a big ranking, so long as I can show people that it is possible to do this with trial characters only. That way, you can take it at your own pace. Stamp crafting is a good idea. I have not gone through and generated all of the stamps that I could, mostly because I'm just sort of waiting. It has 9 days, and I'm just waiting to see if there's anything I should wait on. It does look like it's going to go away the moment that the next character drops. So if we go here, 9 days and 1 hour, that makes me think that the character will not be out, period, when that drops. So these will only be for Ichigo and your other characters. So it seems like you could use them pretty freely, but feel free to wait as well. Huecamundo Assault is just one of those sort of, one of those events that is just returns pretty regularly, just, daily events, so you can get rewards, right? Pretty good rewards out of that. Painted Homecoming is always fun to see the actual images. This is one of those things I really do like from Zenless Zone Zero does this, I believe, where if you get dupes in the character, you get, they fill in the colors. I think that's pretty fun. That's a cute little reward, and this is from Okieda's patch. So that is all that is in there. We did get Adventure, I believe. Am I crazy to say that? I believe we got Adventure out of this. I think that was this patch. Maybe it was the end of Okieda's patch. I'm not too sure. Maybe I'm crazy. But the other thing we did get actually is, we're back here. So always good to see limited time trials show up. The other one we do know, of course, and this is a great one, is the Frenzy Feast, the updated Frenzy Feast. The reason I like updated Frenzy Feast, and your mileage may vary based on your account, is as a free-to-play player, it lets me know what's lacking on my account. So I can immediately take a look at this and be like, okay, well, obviously this is like the team that they intend for you to use, but also just happens to be the strongest team. The other thing it does sort of tell you, though, is that Spirit and Strike are sort of suffering. One, because Strike obviously needs access to my Yuri or it does not work. And two, because Spirit still has the B0 problem. If you are a free-to-play B0 player, meaning you really just get B0 characters, you're not trying to pull for dupes, you didn't pull for any of the Eisen dupes, you saved your currency so that you could get other characters so that you can flesh out your account. Spirit is suffering much more than Slash, which literally doesn't have an SSR support, right? Which is, I mean, like I said, your mileage may vary. Maybe this is different for you, maybe it's not, but I would say that Slash performing with predominantly B0 units, B1 Kenpachi, admittedly, Slash performing like this over Okieda with a Zaya Lapido like SSR limited spirit support is really telling to me that Slash is going to explode when it gets its proper support, whereas Spirit is currently like locked in the time chamber, dog. So that is what I would say about this event. I hope this event returns more, more frequently. I don't know why this event doesn't return every single time. Even if it's like a thing of, oh, we don't want to give out the rewards, just section off rewards for this event. I think this event is really good. It lets you know where your account is every single time it comes out. But yeah, I think this one should come back all of the time. I don't know. I don't get why it doesn't. And I think for the most part, that has been like predominantly it. I think we are going to be receiving another suite of content fairly soon. I cannot remember the day exact. I guess 2 days from now. And at that point, we'll see the return of some more, long, sort of held in the time chamber, like I said, content. I know they wanted to bring back a frontier, like the frontier, whatever, the stamp collector or what have you, but we'll see how that goes. I do think that it was nice to have something that was truly inclusive in terms of actually getting people on the game. Also something that made you use your account. More things that make you use your account are always good, but yeah, I think this felt like a pretty decent patch. But the fact that this is a TYBW collab, the show's going on, etc., etc. While this could be a good patch if you're a new player, if you're a completely new player, all this stuff is new to you, this probably felt like a great patch. A ton of rewards, like, that's the thing. Unfortunately, not everything is made with the long-term player in mind, and that is a problem a lot of gacha face, is making stuff with a long-term player in mind. I'm not saying that, we as people who have played since launch are... should just be thrown to the side. But Dokkan is going through that right now, where a lot of stuff is being made to modernize the game, to get new people into the game, to get people to return. And if you've played a very long time, for about 1.5 years, a lot of their updates have not been with you in mind. And so for people like me, who has been playing for like, almost 4 years at this point, I've had entire long stretches of time where I have had nothing to do on Dokkan but log in, do my dailies, and log out. Right, the fights weren't hard. They weren't adding new things to do. that were like meaningful, and then they weren't even adding places for me to test my characters. So if why would I pull if I couldn't test my characters anywhere? This is more likely to happen, I think, with a game that is as new as Bleach Soul Resonance, but it does suck when it happens, because, you know, for me, I'm like, I want my new stuff, I want my new fights and my new experiences, blah 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 blah. So if, like I said, if you're new, I think you have a very different perspective on how this patch has gone. Obviously, I think the most glaring is all of the bugs concerning Ichigo and friends. Not buffing Nellel has been a huge mistake, I think, on the side of the devs. I think buffing Nellel would have made a lot of sense. That said, it does sort of hint to me that they are planning to release a replacement if they are not going to buff this girl. Let me put her on screen, but if they're not going to buff her, then it does seem to me that they're going to replace her, because she is leaving in 9 days, right? I think this would have been the perfect time to buff her. Right now, even with how good True Shikai Ichigo is, I think the power is still locked behind Mayuri. I also think Mayuri is going to get a rerun fairly soon, maybe within the next 10 days. Or I think that's actually might be confirmed, leaked confirmed. So very good idea to grab a Mayuri when he does come, especially if you're a new player. And you haven't been pulling for dupes on True Shikai Ichigo. Remember that you do not need to be pulling for dupes. True Shikai Ichigo is going to be around for 80 days. You can wait. You can build out your account. You can see how your account looks, and then you can go in for a dupe after. But Mayuri is just way too good. He's also going to be getting a consistency change. I don't know if it'll be a buff yet, because we have not seen how the change will be implemented, but he is going to be getting less RNG on his technique, which should make him a much more consistent character at the very least. Even though it is crazy to think that Mayuri needs anything at all, this really does feel like when they changed Aizen, and Aizen didn't really need anything at that point, so we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. I'm overall pretty positive, just because I feel like the rewards have been good and I've had things to do. Again, I come from a different realm though. When I record for videos, I inherently have things to do. If you're just someone who plays on the way to work, at school, at home, you know, for like 30 minutes to an hour a day, you will get a different experience out of playing this game than I will. So always remember that you should have your own thoughts and feelings on how the game has been, and not just tie them to my feelings on how the game has been, because we are going to be having different experiences. The Truth, who plays, you know, 10 hours of Dokkan Battle a day, is having a different experience than me or you playing Dokkan Battle. Why? Because he makes 6 videos a day about Dokkan Battle. His experience is inherently going to be very different with the game than you or me. So, you can tell me if you've made it this far. You can feel free to tell me how your experience has gone with the patch. I think that it has been a good patch. If it was I think it's a good content cycle if it wasn't a collab. Does that make sense? I think that the content we would like to be we would have liked to be stronger, given that it's a collaboration. But if this was just like, I don't know, if you compare this to White Ichigo's patch or Okieda's patch, you'd be like, damn, they put everything in this one, right? So I do think maybe a part of that is just the rate at which they had to put this out. I wonder how much time in advance they knew they'd be doing this. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they were working on Harabel or Shunsui or, you know, Yamamoto or just some Rankar, and they were like, hey, by the way, you got the rights to do TYBW for the next, you know, 80 days. And they were like, oh shit, we gotta, you know, lock in, right? I wouldn't be surprised, given how much is a little faulty. We did learn quite a bit about the not only the reception of things, but how they're feeling, the Chinese community is feeling with the game, and so on and so forth. It was a pretty illuminating patch, though I would not count that as intentional. Most devs do not want to make a you know, statement where they have to be like, yeah, stuff's been fucked up. So but it was interesting for us, I think so. And yeah, Bleach Soul Resonance going pretty strong. I think the game is doing well. I think TYBW will have performed well as well. So I expect the actual performance of this section to have been pretty good. We will know how this month fared by the time that the next character comes out in 9 days. So I guess we'll see if this was like worth it. I'm sure it was. I don't expect the game to make $20 million a month or what have you, so that's not really a big concern for me. But so long as it's elevating slightly when it's in these major celebrations, the game's gonna stick around. That's just how it works. So long as they're making more than their overhead, they're gonna stick around. That's how it works. There are a lot of people who get a little doom and gloom about stuff where it's like one thing goes wrong and they're like, end of service in 2 years, the game's spiraling, it's over, they're never gonna do anything again. But that's just not how this goes. There are a lot of games that are much worse than Bleach Soul Resonance that are making much less money than Bleach Soul Resonance that have been around for 10 years. You know what I mean? So we'll see how that goes. I think, and I haven't done this ever. I don't think I've ever put a video on this channel that has it. I would like whatever's going on with the whole AI thing to stop. Not really into that. The reason I don't talk about it is because I don't want to draw attention to it. The reason I don't talk about it is because I have no interest in putting it on the screen. But the AI like videos, considering they have an art department that makes these characters, then it's wild that they would have to use this for marketing. I do wonder if I was a fly on the wall, what's going on there. It's not as if like, because people treat it like, oh, this is like a China thing. Japan is holy and would never do this. That's not true. Japan is ready to use some AI just like everywhere else. We're seeing it in studios everywhere. Don't talk out your ass about industries you don't know about. We're seeing it in the anime industry though quite a bit. So don't treat one country like holy. All of these countries have their problems, dog. America, Canada, UK, China, Japan, Russia, all these countries have their fucking issues, and all of their oldest people, all of their old fucking dinosaurs love AI, dog. Like, it is what it is. So, let's not to get like into a different topic, but don't treat these countries as holy. Japan is not your savior. China is not your savior. But this is a little rambly. I hope they stop doing it. Hopefully they can, when the licensing, maybe the publisher rather, changes, they can move away from that, but we'll see. Other than that though, I've been Lone. Like if you like the video, subscribe to the club, go make it, and peace.